And we're on. And I'm all by myself. That is a lot of me on the screen. And I apologize, everybody. If you're with me right from the start, I appreciate you. And I apologize for you because I'm taking up all the real estate. Obviously, some people are a little tate. I thought for sure either Mustafa or Mr. Coker would be the first one in here. But looks like I'm going to have to kick it off. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, new sidekick, Mr. Joe Hibbert. How you doing, sir?
I'm all right. How about yourself?
I'm okay. You know what? I kind of look forward to this hour and a half on a weekly basis, chatting to my friends. Oh, there we go. Pop in. There we go.
And then number 3.
Mustafa, you left me on my own on purpose.
I am so sorry. I'll never do it again.
When you're all alone, your face looks really fat on the screen.
I always speak kindly of you.
No. I needed you here because you made me half the man I was.
Oh, good. I made you a third.
Well, where do you go from there?
We have John Hibbert, Punisher and X-Men artist with Marvel. We've got Inker, Marvel, DC, Mustafa Musa. Gentlemen, thank you for coming. Let's get the housekeeping right out of the way. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MBartist Alley Live. I am your host, Stephen Ahola. We are the artists of MBartist. And for the next hour and a half, we're just going to chat it up amongst ourselves. And we encourage you guys to get involved, drop your comments, put in your questions, and just follow us along as we talk about things about industry, things we love, pop culture, blah, blah, yada, yada, and all points in between. So let's kick it off. We are on YouTube, we are on Facebook, and we are on Collector's Toy Shop. And not only are we going to chat amongst ourselves and with you fine people out there in streaming land, we also have artwork. So let's pull it up. Here's this week's featured prints. Ooh, they even got titles, so I don't have to remember it. This month's featured prints are Black Panther by Bob McLeod. We've got Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy from Chad Harden. We've got Ironheart from Francine Delgado. We've got Nickelodeon Tunes by Jamie Coker. We've got Doctor Strange MCU Portrait by James C. Mulligan.
Nice.
We've got a classic, Joe Rubenstein doing a homage to his Wolverine #1 with Thanos. Mr. Hibbert, you want to tell us the story on this one? It's a little
Spidey. That was actually a commission for a guy that I know from conventions, and I actually worked with his girlfriend, and she really wanted to do something special for him for Christmas. And I love Spidey, and I hadn't really drawn him in a long time at that point. This is when I was just kind of getting back into doing a lot of conventions and things again, and it just came out great, and the colors just added to it. I think it's just a nice piece.
It did.
And, when I signed it both ways. It's already signed, on the bottom, but then when I sign it in person, I do it upside down so they can hang it either way.
Who did the colors on that?
What's that?
Who did the colors on that?
Steve?
Oh, I know. Brian.
Oh, okay. I thought so. Yeah. Looks good. Looks great.
Did a good job.
You know what's the thing about Brian is I always find that when I give him like metallic or like just mechanical features or anything, he knocks it out of the park. Like the Boba Fett he just did for John was awesome. And
oh, good.
Yeah, there you go. Chef's kiss. And but he struggles a little bit when it comes to like organic pieces because he has that awesome that thing he does where he likes jetting in color. And sometimes when you're talking about soft surfaces like velvet, you can't have like color just kind of jet in randomly without purpose on like velvet. It just doesn't work. But yeah, he knocked it out of the park with this one. Mr. Coker, how you doing, sir?
I'm good.
Hey, Jamie.
We're just going.
Now there are 4.
The 4 horsemen. Oh, yeah.
That's right. There.
Oh, there we go.
Woo!
Woo! Styling and profiling. Drawing pictures and kissing the ladies.
I've spent more on spilled liquor than you have on your last 2 houses.
That's it. We're gonna have to do a show where everybody has to talk in Ric Flair.
Oh my
I think I'd be up for that.
Harley Race, I tell you, here's the way it's going to be. The key to doing Flair is you got to have a Minnesota accent slightly, and you have to talk like your teeth are slightly too big for your mouth. That's the key.
You ever see the one clip where in WCW where he takes over the show and he says, "And if you cut the commercial, I'll be naked when you get back."
Yep. and when they get to that episode of
At the end of
Dark
his
Side of the
career,
Ring,
he
make
just-
sure you watch that.
Oh man.
The plane ride from hell.
Because at the end, he just had a habit of he would just start getting naked, throwing shoes, throwing his coat.
And the plane ride from hell, which is coming up on Dark Side of the Ring in a few weeks, where they were coming back from Australia or something, and he just got naked on the plane and was running around.
Oh, boy.
It's a great story.
Woo! I'm sure some of the people are going, "Whoa!"
Space Mountain, styling and profiling.
All right, let's go on to the next one. Hey, Mustafa, here. I know we talked about this before, just really briefly for the new people who are watching. Let's talk about this one, Captain Marvel.
Let's see. There was a show coming up in Chicago that Brie Larson was going to be at, and we're like, hey, there's going to be Brie Larson fans there, Captain Marvel fans. We should have something for them. And, we did this. We did the helmet version, and then we did this version. And if people like it, then that's awesome.
Did she sign any?
I think she signed like 2. Yeah, not many.
Did you get to keep one?
I'm gonna start having to do that because like there's a lot of guys who will get my art and then get it signed by actors, and I'm like, hey, as long as you're doing that, here, get one for me too. I should do that. I just don't think about it. That was a very brief cameo by Francine. Yeah.
Well, she's getting on that Bob McLeod level.
She came in. She was like, "Nah, I'm out."
Yeah, screw you guys. I'm going home.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on. Captain Marvel. Who's after Captain? All right, let's loop around. Eric, do me a favor and throw up Jamie Coker's. Mr. Coker, what's the story?
Yeah.
Story?
Oh man. Okay, so this one was one that people had asked me for individual artwork for individual artworks for individual characters featured in this piece, and I just figured, well, why not just put them all together? Because I hadn't seen anything, on the con circuit that featured so many characters all together at once. And I think this one has 16. There's 16 different Nickelodeon series represented here. So I just tried to have some fun with it, and especially Cat Dog, an underrated show. And just fit them all in there. And I knew when I put Ren in there, I had to make him look a little menacing because, Ren's my favorite little Napoleonic complex dude. So
What is it, man?
You idiot.
Idiot. What is it, man?
Don't you know you got to pee on the electric fence?
yeah, the funny thing is, I think the most requested character that's on this thing is a tie probably between Avatar and Reptar. People had asked me, "Oh, have you done a Reptar piece?" I'm like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, to represent that show, I'm just gonna put Reptar and none of the other babies." So, yeah, fun though, a lot of fun.
Those are our 9 featured art prints. Let's see if Eric loop around and show all 9 again. Yes, skip that one. Those are our 9 prints. And Francine is back.
Yes.
Yeah.
How you doing, Francine?
Hi.
How's life out in Vancouver?
It's goddamn feeling like Vancouver today. Everything is just great outside.
Well, that is definitely Vancouver in a nutshell.
It's
Really quick, we've just been walking through our featured art prints. Yours happens to be Ironheart of Gold. You want to give us a little preview on that just to hype it up for the crowd?
Yeah, this one is part of a think 3 cover ideas I was doing with new heroes, and who better to draw by Iron Heart? She's smart, she's powerful, she is like the next Vex long hero. So I did this illustration, and I think I did 2 versions with mask and without mask because I wasn't sure. And I don't know, like without mask, she looks super cool because you can see her face. But that design of that helmet is so good. Like the yellow in the middle is so good. At the end, I decided to keep this one. But I think I maybe my Instagram I have both versions. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a great piece, and once again, you knock it out of the park with the background. So, guys, those are our 9 pieces we have available. Your question: how can I get one of these pieces? Well, there's 3 ways. Number 1, we're going to change it up a little bit. If you put any comment or any question into the comment section with us, you're going to get a ticket. So whether you got a comment in terms of our conversation or you want to ask a question, and we encourage you to ask your questions, you're going to get a ticket to the draw at the end of the show. You have to be here at the end of the show. Number 2, you say, I can't wait for that. Just give me one of those babies. Just say claim and which one you want, and the lovely Love Jeet out in the ether will take care of you. Number 3, you go to MBartist.com, and whether you want to get a fine art, a platinum, or a canvas, with the checkout, you get free shipping with the very complicated phrase free shipping. And as Mustafa is waiting for me to see if I'll say, go fill your cart.
You can fill your boots too, as long as you're filling your cart.
It's too warm.
One thing I gotta say. Okay, so I actually, after that show, I went onto Google and I typed in "fill your" just to see what the autofill would do. "Fill your boots" was the 3rd result that came up. So
should we even ask the first 2?
I don't even remember what they were. I was like, oh my gosh, fill your boots. I was like, there it is.
It doesn't matter. I walk around going, I'm number 3. I'm number 3.
and the world's always treated me like number 2. So there you go.
So anyways, guys, if you want to get one of those prints, those are the 3 ways that you can do it. Also, guys, we're going to be switching it up a little bit today. Usually we'd insert your questions throughout the show with the artists here. But what we're going to do is I've got a narrative that we're going to follow for the first hour, and we're just going to have a nice little conversation. And we encourage you guys to comment on our conversation, and we'll incorporate it where we can throughout the first hour. And then what we'll do is we'll roll back in the last half hour, and we'll do rapid fire questions.
Lightning round.
Lightning round between 4 and 4:30. Okay, so that's how we're going to do it today. So everybody's going to get a chance to win, and I encourage you to comment and ask questions, as many as you like. And I see it's starting to fill up now, and we appreciate you all. And of course, I've been reminded. Jamie, is Trisha there?
Oh yeah, she just stepped away for a second. Yes.
Oh yeah, right. I have been reminded by the lovely Trisha to remind all of you to please like and subscribe to this. What is this again? Video channel. I screwed it up.
Podcast, I think, right?
Podcast. Like and
This is the Training with Boo channel.
Yeah, like and
comment, subscribe.
Oh, sorry. Like, comment, subscribe. There we go.
You
All
better
right,
get Jamie to say that next time.
Yeah, Jamie, I'm going to defer to you. And Jamie, what do we do? What do we encourage everybody to do?
Like, comment, and subscribe.
There you go.
Not necessarily in that order.
That's
All
why
right.
you have to get Jamie to do that. It sounds
We
cool.
need the stats, people. We need the stats. We're gonna be like oh geez, what was her name? The one from that. You like me, you really like me.
Sally Field.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
We should get that going every time a light goes off. Every time a light goes
They
off.
hate me. They really hate me.
See, even I don't know what my lovely wife says. Wow, and as you can see, my child is even grimacing at that comment. So, anyways, all right. So, and Ariel Diaz has joined us, and she says, "Insert witty comment here." Absolutely, insert away. All right, guys. So I'm just going to start it off, and the one thing I want to do is I want to kind of explore. Just basically, this is going to be an open forum, but I want to start in terms of the conversation and open it up to everybody about this. Wait, wrong side.
Oh, what?
I want to talk about that. The blank page. So part of the creative process is when you look at a blank page, and I don't know about you, but sometimes it can be a source of great inspiration, and sometimes it can be, just a fearful place because you don't know where to start. And one of the things people always ask me, and I don't know about you guys, is like, how do you go about doing it? How do you come up with the ideas? How do you get to where you land? So I'm going to open it up here, and actually, let's start with Mustafa. Mustafa, when you tackle something, how do you go about it? Oh, there's the Amber Alert for Joe Rubenstein. That's the Amber Alert. We're missing Joe Rubenstein.
Don't say Amber Alert for Joe Rubenstein. That's not nice.
I could say something very, very, very funny about the Amber Alerts, but I'm not allowed to because of my job.
We'll do it.
Somebody on
We
this
won't
forum
tell anybody.
Somebody on this forum used to be involved in putting those up. That's all I'm telling you.
Okay.
Jamie?
That'll be for MBartist After Dark.
Yes.
Ooh,
It's a deep
that's
dive.
a good one.
Okay.
That's
Silver
a
Alert.
good one. Like once a month or so, we can do this after dark, for the grown-ups with wine and stuff.
But warning,
Oh,
the
we
10 o'clock show gets a little blue.
And that's just the color of John's underwear.
Fooled you. I don't wear any.
Oh,
I don't know. If we looked up the first appearance of John Hebert's underwear, it'd be episode 1.
Oh, shoot. That's right.
Excuse me, folks, while I adjust my camera. Oh,
That's right. I forgot.
what happened there? That we're saving that for the greatest dub piece when we all have to take a break. But
That's in the
definitely,
gag reel.
guys, I'm going to throw it out there. Would you
Something
guys
about a blank
watch-
page?
Yeah, let's get back to the blank page.
Yeah. Something about a blank page. Okay. You want to ask again?
See, my wife's getting me in trouble. All right, let's get back to the blank page. So, Mustafa, we started with you, and I know that you're more so on the page. There's already something on the page, but most of the time when you tackle it. But
Well, so for like prints or commissions, oftentimes I do the layouts, and if it's going to be something that I know is going to be a print, at some point, my approach is to make it look like either a movie poster or the cover of the comic book. If I was working on that character's book, right? Like what I'd want to do. Like you only get one shot of doing this character or this team. What's it going to look like? That kind of thing. So that's been my approach to it. When I'm working with other people, my approach, I don't know. I don't know. It's all like ones and zeros. I break it down into like, okay, it's going to look like this when I'm done with it. And it's just about getting to that, getting to that point that's in my head.
well, you said something real cool there. What's the difference between trying to convey like a print? So here at MBartist, we encourage you guys to think in the context of, this is something I want somebody to hang on their wall. What's the difference between doing something that's a movie poster and a comic book cover?
Well, I mean, some of the examples are kind of behind me here, but movie poster, I don't know. It for both of them, you kind of want to tell a story. It just might be a different story depending on what the subject matter is. But you don't want it to just be some static image. You want like it looks like there's something that just happened or something that's about to happen. But it's kind of hard to do with some characters, so it's easier said than done. Sometimes you just want to make a really cool Batman on a gargoyle or something, Yeah.
Well, let's drop it down to you on that, Jamie, because I know we had a conversation just yesterday about your Wiz comic, because you've been throwing some concepts at me, and you had 2 different styles. We couldn't go wrong either way. However, you had. So, is it okay if I share with everybody what the 2 concepts were?
oh, that's fine.
So, guys, Jamie picked a robot cover, and one of his concepts was a POV from the other side of the robot after he's punched through it. Now, what's really cool about that concept is it's in your face. It's very POV. It could be a movie poster, but you kind of lose that it is a robot. Like it's where's the rest of the robot? And then the second one was more of a traditional piece where Shazam's doing an uppercut, and the robot kind of has the reaction as one of those. What are those called? Those Rock'em Sock'em?
Yeah, Rock'em Sock'em.
You know, when the head pops up. Yeah, Rock'em Sock'em. In the original, there's a light bulb for a nose. So the idea is that the head would pop up and the nose would light up. More traditional Golden Age concept. So I think that kind of echoes off of what you were talking about, Mustafa, in terms of a cover piece and a movie poster piece. And Jamie, think about from that conversation, what were your thoughts?
Really, what was interesting was that I just approached the whole thing when I was doing the sketches as like, how can I add a little bit more like more action, more dynamic aspects to it when I did the thumbnails. And then after talking to you about it, it was like, well, sometimes as cool as an image may appear to be, you have to find something that best tells the story versus just a really cool image. And I think that was my biggest takeaway from it. Because the one I decided to end up going with was one that I thought, like we talked about, it would overlap the logo a little bit, but B, it also kind of got in there the action, but better told the story. Even though there were some things that needed to be tweaked, it still would be a better choice, I think.
Which one was that?
The uppercut.
The uppercut. There you go. The Mike Tyson out.
Yeah.
Fran, let's shift over to you because I think your perspective is going to be a little bit different coming from the animation background. And in case anybody doesn't know, Miss Delgado is the art director for Barbie.
She is.
Miss Barbie doesn't put on anything unless she runs it by Fran.
Oh, no. Tell that to Mattel.
So
okay, no, don't tell that to Mattel. I know you guys are Mattel.
So talk to me about the difference in terms of you tackling your blank page.
Okay, I think it could be for my background, or it could be just because my favorite part about comics is not the pretty drawings. Of course, I love pretty drawings, but my favorite part is the storytelling part. I always feel like you can be a great pinup artist, but to be a good comic artist, you don't need to be the best illustrator, but you just need to be the best storyteller. And I think that's how I try to approach most of my pieces. If I'm just doing a pinup is a pinup. But when I'm doing like a piece, like the ones that I put for MBartist, like the Ironheart, or any of those pieces that I put in posters or in anything that is more than just like a character posing in a blank page, I always try to approach it from the point of view of what is behind it, what is the story that I want to tell. And I think that's how I start. And everything goes along that, like what I want to tell with this piece. And first thing I studied when I was very young was like graphic, advertisement, like design or graphic design, something like that. And I think this always helped me because when I was at school, they always tell me like, okay, what do you want to say with this piece? What is the spectator going to read with this? Because everything was like trying to sell something in advertisement. So, and I always kept that in my head. And now that I'm out of that world, I'm just always keep that of what I'm trying to convey, what I want my spectator to read when they see that.
John, how about you? I find that in terms of your stylization, you put a lot of detail and a lot of effort. There's a lot of mileage that goes into a John Hebert drawing. How do you see things in terms of when you're presented with a blank page?
Sometimes I already have an idea before I even grab a piece of paper. Sometimes I don't, and what I'll do is I'll get a piece of scrap paper, typewriter paper, whatever, and I'll start noodling on it, usually on 8.5 by 11. And then when I get something that really grabs me compositionally or whatever, then I'll Xerox it up or whatever and then trace it. I used to be a real purist. Everything had to be drawn out completely, and always just ink, no marker, no nothing. And then as I started really working in the business around other people, I realized that there are a lot of shortcuts and whatnot you can take. And my mentor used to do a lot of that with the 8.5 by 11s, and then Xerox it up and maybe Xerox it back down and around before he would actually get a concept that he wanted to do. And I've gotten to that point myself, and I think it makes for a stronger final product usually, especially when you don't have an ironclad concept going in. But as far as the imagery is concerned, if you can basically make a good teaser, a movie poster thing, like Mustafa said, a movie poster that grabs people and draws them in, because that was always the idea of a movie poster or an album cover or whatnot. Oh gosh, shouldn't eat that bagel. Being lactose intolerant, it probably wasn't a good idea. Plus I'm getting over a cold. But that was the whole idea of album covers when they used to have art, when there were albums, movie posters, magazine covers, etc., to get you to look at that on the rack and want to buy it and want to have it. And I always look at a cover as almost the opening teaser for a movie or a TV show, the pre-credit thing. Grab you and draw you in. Something that kind of sums it up. It might not always exactly be a scene that's in the book, but it's got the same DNA, and it draws you in, it grabs you, and it's a teaser. That's my concept. And there's a cover I wanted to do a flip side of for a long time, and it's a Batman Deadshot cover, and I've always wanted to do it from the other point of view. Now that I've opened my mouth, somebody else will do it. But it's something I've always wanted to do a recreation, reimagination of, and hopefully we'll be able to do that someday.
Well, I suggest now that you said it, you should probably crank it out and we'll put it in.
Yeah, I probably should. But, sometimes reversing things, as Jamie said, that's a very cool thing too, especially when we're doing recreations and then not just we're reimagining them and tweaking them and not just doing the same thing line for line, situation for situation. And my stuff's fairly loyal to the originals when I do a cover recreation, but I still try to do something that's my own, whether change up the anatomy a little or something. So that's my long answer.
Well, guys, we want to hear from you out there. What makes you want to go see a movie, buy a book, whatever, on the cover? What grabs you? Is it the character? Is it the artwork? Let's hear from you guys out there. Anytime we want to hear from you. Give us your feedback. Like, what movie? Here's a good one. What movie did you go to the movie theater and go see just based on the poster? You didn't know anything else. You just saw the poster. Or what book did you buy just based on the cover? Or what album did you buy based on the album art? Just because it looked really cool and you just wanted to kind of crack that open or walk into that theater. We want to hear from you guys. Throw it down there and we'll give you a ticket into the draw for a free print at the end of the show. But let's throw that around the horn here to get everybody's feedback. Jamie, give me something that you got based on the cover art. Why and what was it, and did you love it?
Oh man, I hate to be the one to kick this off. Okay, okay. Here's a great example. I had never heard of. I just finished watching Invincible on Amazon. Great show. I bought the comic originally, issue 1. Nothing about it. Nothing. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but it kind of looks cool. So I'm going to pick that up. And it's downstairs among all my comics that I give a crap about versus the ones I don't. Or what they call them, dollar bin comics. And yeah, I was rewarded for picking that up. I don't know, man. It was just like I didn't know what to expect. I just looked at the cover, thought it was colorful, looked great, and yeah, I was super happy with it. Super happy with it. Still am.
Mustafa.
Well, okay. So my first ever comic book was Marvel Age 90, and it was a Todd McFarlane Spider-Man. And I knew of Spider-Man. I didn't know Todd McFarlane. I remember opening it up, and it was just articles. There was no actual comic book, and I was like, "What is this garbage?" And I kept looking for the story, the comic book, and I couldn't. And I just kept looking at the cover, and I was like, "Well, this cover is really nice." I literally just bought that book for the cover because all of the articles I did not care about. And it's a very famous image, and it probably set a lot of careers off, but it definitely set mine off. The first comic book was a Batman book, and it was about Riddler. Riddler, and there's a more adult take on Riddler. It's like a more mature take. Yep, that's it. How good is that? So good. So good.
Oh my God, there it is.
Yeah, all that spaghetti webbing. Anyway, so my first actual like comic book, it was a Batman book that had Riddler on it, and it was Mike Mignola that did the Riddler the cover. And and he gave Riddler like a suit and a tie and a cane and a hat. It was the first time that like Riddler was taken seriously and not just a goofy, skinny question mark guy. And the story was really adult, and the cover.
That was Kieran
really
Dwyer art.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the artwork was great. It was a very mature take on like Gotham City and its effect. Yeah. Yep. Gotham City had a soul. Yeah,
and a little nudity. Yep.
Yeah, the baby that he had to like save before it choked. Yeah,
Yep.
That was my first comic book. Yeah.
Fran, how about you?
Well, I learned kind of like what happened to Mustafa that he got a comic for a whole book because the cover was pretty cool, and then opening it was just like article that he didn't care for it. I learned that also the same way. I bought a comic. I don't remember what was it, but it was a very cool cover, and then I opened it, and nothing of the art on the interior was exactly the same than the cover. So then I learned that happens very often with American comics. You have like a comic artist and you have a different comic book interior artist to do the cover or the interiors. And then when I learned that way, I stopped buying books because of the covers. So yeah, I think the cover is very powerful, and a cover can make you buy a book. Once you learn your lesson, I think not as an artist, but as a fan that buy comics, you feel sometimes you're getting cheat. Like, they are cheating me because I think that this is what I'm going to get, and that's not what I'm getting. So what I start doing is asking the guys at the comic book stores if I can see the interior before I buy the book, and if in the interior I get it. But yeah, definitely comics covers get you to buy something or not. I remember when I was working on my book, The Comet, and I have this idea for the cover, and my editor at the time, Katie Kluber, she was amazing, and she gave me a bunch of cover examples and sent me an email telling me about. Oh, I'm getting some like double out. Sorry. Okay, and then she told me about like. So this cover is what people are gonna see before buying your book. They don't know anything about your book, and because of that, like, my initial cover changed a lot from being just a cute pinup girl to having story to tell in that. I don't know if I have it over here close by. Oh yeah, I have it. This is the cover I ended drawing because of her, and see how it has like a story on it, and you have no idea how many times people just stop to grab the book because of the cover. And the interior, you don't see so many demons yet because that wasn't the following book. So they grab it because of the cover, and they open and where are the demons? So when they see Demon, some get it, some don't get it. But because of the cover, so many people just stop by and grab it. So yeah, covers are super powerful. And as an artist and also as a fan that buy comics, I know the power of a cover. That was
John,
a
up
major
to you.
sorry.
John, up to you.
Okay.
What,
Well, I got into progressive music because I liked Roger Dean's album covers. True story. I'll buy almost any album that he did the cover for. He's the one who did the Asia and Yes album covers, those great fantasy things. I know you guys are a lot younger than me. You've probably never seen them, but they're very well. I have one of the posters on the wall. I actually do. I love that stuff, and that always drew me in. And then because of that, I got into progressive music. The other thing was the first comic I ever bought, first Batman comic. Batman, I think 222 was a really stark image. It was an Adams cover of this gargoyle-looking guy holding Batman unconscious on the top of an old paddle wheeler, which I'm going to do a reimagination of someday too with all my time. But that was very stark, and that drew me in. I was like, hey, this isn't what I see on TV, because my mother talked me into reading by the use of comic books. Oh, you like watching that show with Batman and Robin? They have books with Batman and Robin. And we went down to the corner store, and there was that book on the rack, and the rest is history. I used to buy a lot of comics just because they had Neil Adams covers. I think a lot of people did, because in the early 70s, Neil was doing a ton of covers. And then later on, when I got to be probably one of the few real big Ernie Chua fans, when he had done Batman, he was doing a lot of covers for DC also. Certainly all the Batman line, and I liked his stuff. I still do. But the one that really stands out to me, the one story about that was very often with big budget movies, I'm sure you know, they will have multiple posters, not just one. So they'll recycle to do a different poster to get you in again, or give it a different look. One of the posters for the James Bond movie, The Man with the Golden Gun, was about the coolest thing I've ever seen, and it's still up online. It was a painted poster, and it had, I think it was hands assembling the golden gun out of the lighter and the pen, which is basically a throwaway scene in the movie. It's not really even explained. It's like a 10-second thing at tops. But the poster was that. It was like that, assembling it, and then there's the gun. I was coming out of the theater with my mom when I was probably, I don't know, maybe 6, 7. And here's this poster. And I was like, oh, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. What is that? And my mother was like, oh, that's James Bond, blah, blah, blah. A little too old for you at this point. But, I mean, I had heard of James Bond, but I just thought that was the coolest thing. Oh, that's coming here? Can I say, well, it's a little too old for you. A couple of years. So then a couple of years later, it was on TV. And I remember going, wow, I'm finally going to get to see this thing. And I sat and watched it. And I was like, wow, what a piece of crap that was. not one of Moore's best. And it's a great book. But that image just drew me in. I wanted to see that. If I was old enough to go by myself and see that, I would have, just because of that poster.
Yeah. Mr. Rubenstein just joined us. The Amber Alert is over. We found him, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
How you doing, sir? How's the eye?
It's fine.
Good show. You just came in. We were talking about something that you have bought, either comic, movie, music, that you knew nothing about, and you got it based purely on the art. What was it, and what was your experience with it?
You mean like a comic book that I went to that I bought because of the art?
Yeah, something that you bought just because of the art. So essentially, we started the conversation in terms of how we tackle a blank page. And then Mustafa started talking about how when he approaches an image, he'll think of it either as a movie poster or a book. And that kind of segued into Joe leaving.
But I'll be back.
Are you still there, sir?
I'm trying to.
And that segued into a conversation of buying something based purely on the art that you knew nothing about. You just thought pretty and you bought it.
I don't know. Nothing comes to mind. I mean, I bought comic books sometimes because of the art.
Can you throw me a couple of tissues and shut the door when you leave?
Just a second, Joe. John needs a couple of tissues.
That's a lot. Just saying goodbye to my wife, and my dog was on the pool cover.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. So just to follow up, Joe, maybe this might jog your memory. So for me, when I was a kid, I guess everybody has this as a kid. I bought a lot of stuff as a kid just because it was pretty. And for me, the first thing that I bought that really grabbed my attention was Secret Wars #1, and it pulled me through the Soul series. That #1 issue, just seeing all the characters together on the cover was awesome. And then I had these cycles where I would fall out of comics, and there would always be one thing that would grab my attention and suck me back in, like Godfather 3. And when I was a teenager, it was the cover to The Killing Joke. That cover to The Killing Joke was just so captivating and invited so much. And of course, I think I must have been 14 or 15 when it came out, and I had no idea what I was in for when I cracked that open, because it was definitely not a comic book I remember reading as a kid. Well, Joe, anything jog your memory?
Well, I mean, I was a DC guy, and then I was in the local store, whatever they would call them those days, candy store, and there was amazing stories, and it was the first books where they had like Doctor Doom and Black Widow in one, and the Inhumans and somebody else in the other, and that just started. Oh yeah, and Conan. Never heard of Conan, but I saw the cover, and so yeah, that's when I became a Marvel guy as well. Are you talking
about Conan O'Brien?
When Conan was the first one that I met him at a restaurant one day. If you want to hear that story, and
Conan the Barbarian.
I saw, Conan had nipples. Like no superhero had nipples, and one day I brought that up to Barry Smith. He said, "You know what? I was in a bank one day, and the guy saw my name. He said, Barry Smith?" And says, "Yeah." It says, "You're the one who draws the nipples." So other people were noticing.
Well, that's Joel Schumacher.
Yes, he's dead now.
He'll draw nipples.
Okay.
Who knew Batman's nipples were that strong that when they did the mold, came right through? So let's rewind a little bit, Joe. So our initial question when we started this mess was, when you approach a blank piece of paper, how do you go about it? Like, do you see opportunity? Do you see fear? What is your process when you approach a blank piece of paper?
Well, it has to, what's the assignment? I mean, I don't particularly have fear. One of the things when you're doing you paint is that white canvas immediately gets colored up, stained, so you're not afraid of the white anymore. And if I have to draw something, the very first thing I do is I just sketching a circle, because everything comes from the circle, and then elaborate from there. I don't feel much fear when I get to work. I just wonder what's going to happen.
Cool. So guys, if you have any questions in terms of process, we've asked if you have. I see people like Richard Welshin says Avengers, the art and colors of characters on that poster pop of art and color. And then Tyler says the RoboJocks movie at a family video. Frank Frazetta Silver Warrior book in the dollar bin. So those are some of the comments we had from you guys out there, and we appreciate it. And both you gentlemen, you're gonna get a ticket into the draw at the end of the show. So where was I? Let's talk about disappointments. Have you guys ever bought something based on the artwork, and then when you cracked it open, you're like, "What the hell just happened?"
Oh yeah.
So let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. The biggest thing going on right now with comic books is, I remember when I was growing up, whoever did the inside art also did the cover art. And it seems like we've come into a norm where there's specialists for cover art, and then the interior art are kind of like a forgotten soldier, which I think is sad, because sometimes you'll get like a really great cover, you open it up, and the interiors are just an absolute mess.
Well,
anybody have any experiences like that?
Marvel Comics used to pay extra for the covers because they figured we need the better artists for those to get people to buy the book.
Right. Yeah, but it's almost like the interior art has become like a forgotten soldier. Like it's like story. It's like with so is there anybody have any experiences or even a movie like you went to see a movie? I think John told us about the James Bond one. Any other stories from any one of you of disappointment after you got so enticed by the cover?
Well, Joe Kubert is my favorite comic book artist, and those Sergeant Rocks were just wonderful. And then I would pick up the Sergeant Rock, and I was an idiot because it was done by Russ Heath, and I went, "Oh, it's not Joe Kubert," and I put it back. Totally not appreciating the brilliance of Russ Heath, but because I had one expectation, I did not give it the justice it deserved. And then, some years later, I finally had a brain transplant. And it's like, oh my God, this stuff is fantastic. And so then I went back and got all the stuff that I rejected originally. So.
How about you, Francine?
Like what
Francine?
I bought.
Did we lose Francine? Am I? Hold on, guys. I'm going to have to check out for a second. Mustafa, you're in charge while I'm going.
Am I the host now? Oh my gosh. Okay. Everybody fill your boots, everybody.
Watch it. This is how they got Jay Leno.
Oh my gosh. Am I Jay Leno? Oh no. Maybe I'm Conan.
This is how they got Conan. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Got that Conan. Okay, so let's see. I'll just talk about what he was saying. Oh my God, it's like a frozen image of him smiling. There it goes. Okay, at least he's gone.
I should just step out more often and let you guys. I mean, what you guys really think.
That's kind of what we were saying.
They were killing jokes.
Or put up that graphic from The Simpsons when they'd say technical difficulties. You see the cameraman with a bottle.
Yeah,
I love that.
The monkey running away with the thing.
The monkey running away with the camera.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to go what you were saying with the cover artists and it being totally different when you crack open, the book. Yeah, that's not going to go away until they start really appreciating interior artists. Interior artists is like it's like slave labor. You're doing like 6 little tiny covers or 7 or 8 or 9, and you're telling a story, and people don't know how to do that anymore. It's a lost form of art. Yeah, you can draw like a really cool image. A lot of people can do that. That's great. But to have like, I don't know, something interesting about like 2 people at a coffee shop talking, that is really hard to do. Mm-hmm. So those guys, for whatever reason, they don't get the respect they deserve. They don't get paid a lot for it. And so that's why those guys aren't, going to be as good as the cover artists.
And they don't even encourage that anymore.
No.
I mean, I learned storytelling and they were interested, in keeping the McFarlane clones and this one and that one and the pinup guys. So,
yeah,
it is what it is.
I don't even think that they're not that good. It's like interior artists, they have the pressure of the time, but you have to deliver a book in 20 days or 30 days, and you have to do 22 pages. While the cover artists probably have like more than a day to do his cover. And imagine like interior artists, they are cracking a page per day. And some of my friends that do interiors, they said that they often have to sacrifice quality because they need to make their delivery day. So sometimes they are not that good. It's like they don't have the time, and they often get said like, okay, Josh, you don't have to do that.
And I mean, there are great interior artists, but unfortunately, it's a dying form because those guys can usually do great covers too, and they focus on covers because they'll get paid more, they get more visibility. So then, who's left are the guys who are great at sequential art. That's great, but then, yeah, it's a deadline they have to hit, and if they don't hit those deadlines, they're just going to get somebody that they can get that's cheaper, and maybe they're not as good, but they'll hit the deadlines. So when you see like these books that have interior art that isn't great, it's probably because they hit their deadlines, is because they're cheap.
Yep. Joe Kubert said, your first job is not your hardest job to get at your second one, because you've worked long and hard on your samples, and they go, okay, you're fine. and then suddenly instead of 6 months, you have 6 days to do this thing. You know, and then they go, "Oh, what were we thinking?"
I think that was the difference between Deadpool and Deadpool 2. In terms of the can good interior art overcome bad storytelling?
No,
What does that
No.
mean? Why is it good art if it's bad storytelling?
Well,
You mean good
like the written
draftsmanship?
word, like the
You mean
written
good
word.
draftsmanship?
Well, I mean, like, so the interior artist is separate from the writer itself. So, can someone who's really strong in interior drawing carry a story without it going anywhere? Because the pivotal thing that I was always been taught is always try to get the reader to ask what happens next.
Well,
look,
okay. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have bought a lot of books, especially when I was younger, because I really like the art and I like the artist. And then sometimes I read it and it was just a crappy story that I didn't care for it. But if you ask me, like about the comics that I like the most or the movies I like the most, it's always not the one that has the best art or the best looking drawing. It's like what I got at the end. What was it about? So what is the story? What the story give me? So I think always the script is like the strongest thing. Like the best is have a good script and a good art. Of course, that's the best combo. But if you have to pick something, pick like a strong story. But also, if you have a strong story with crappy art, that's not good. But at least the story is good.
John, what were you going to say?
When I did X-Men Adventures, it was basically a retelling of the show, the shows were all retellings basically of old comics that I had loved. And I loved the opportunity to do that, but by the same token, I wanted to do my own thing, obviously. And they had a format because the show had a format. You know, it would set up 20 minutes of exposition. Then there was always a big brawl, and then a little tag at the end, basically. So the books were all like that, and the way they were written, you're doing exposition, talking heads, whatever, meeting the villain, going places. And then the 2 or 3 pages of a huge fight with every character, and the whole Sioux Nation on horseback fighting, basically. And the pacing was just ridiculous. And I said, can I tinker with this a little? Can I shake it up a little? And fortunately, editorial and the writer, Ralph, whatever, were open to saying, just do what you want to do. And it got to the point where I would get plots in my hand from it that just said, John, go wild here. John, do that. John, whatever. This doesn't work. You fix it. So I would kind of rejigger stuff and repace it and try to maybe top load a little more so that there'd be a little more than just a million tiny little bodies fighting for 3 or 4 pages, because it really was an awkward thing. And I think I did okay with it, although I'm not in the business anymore, so maybe not. But it was nice to get that confidence where they just say, yeah, fix it any way you want, do whatever you want with it, as long as this double spread falls as a spread. We're not worried about anything else.
So I'm just gonna put rapid fire around on this one, and the question is, and Jamie, you've been really quiet, so I'm gonna throw it to you first. Give me a comic that you remember you enjoyed the most because of interior story. Like, what's your most memorable book that you can think of with interior art and story?
With interior art and story? Oh boy.
Yeah. Favorite issue
that was
I was a huge fan of The Dark Knight Returns. I remember the impression that made upon me right away. The art was awesome. The story was amazing. Excuse me. Watchmen is another example. I mean, just blows you away with everything that's going on there. It's like those feel like books that are like, when at the time I read them, I was like, this is so far above my head, so far above my comprehension. I know I'm going to have to read it again and probably again and again, but I'm not going to mind it because the art is just amazing. And, it changed a lot of my viewpoints.
Well, let me narrow the scope a little bit because I think I kind of gave a little bit of a broad term there. I'm looking for a specific book where you got to a moment and you were like, "What the?" and you had to read it over again.
Oh boy. Oh,
John's got one. John, go ahead.
answer
Let Jamie think about it. What do you got, John?
I think it was either the last or second last Bill Sienkiewicz issue of Moon Knight, and I mentioned this before. It was called Hit It, and it was when he started to go to the more Ralph Steadman style, the scritchy, scratchy stuff. His stuff had really transformed right before he quit and went to New Mutants, where it, went from there. And it was a Moon Knight, a typical Moon Knight story, only juxtaposed against every use of the term "hit it." They actually had jazz musicians in the background, projected in the background of some panels. It was child abuse. It was punching. It was this, that. I think there was an acceleration in a car scene. And I remember going, wow. I was reading it in the car on the way home from the comic shop and was like, wow, this is weird. This isn't the usual Moon Knight thing. And I put it aside, but then I kept picking it back up in the car on the way home. I wasn't driving. And once I got home, I kept looking back at it going, this is something different. And, it was the storytelling, and it was a different way of art and a great story. And that's one that I keep going back to.
Mustafa,
check that out.
Mustafa, do you have a specific issue, a specific moment where you went, "What the?" and you had to go back and read it again because it was that great?
I remember there was some what if books that I read where, like, I remember there was one what if I think it was what if Punisher killed man, who was it? I think it was what if Punisher killed Daredevil?
Yeah.
And I remember rereading it because it was so like raw and like I was like 12, so I was like, man, this is what it would be like. Wow, holy crap! And then I don't know if it holds up, but for a 12-year-old, it was great. There's things that I've read 100 times that still like give me goosebumps when I read. Like Jamie was talking about Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns. Like I've read it and reread it, and it still like has the same effect on me. Like decades later.
How about you, Joe?
I don't remember of a single instance where that happened, but Watchmen was the first and maybe only time I would read issue 6, and then I would reread issue 1 through 5, because then there were all these Easter eggs planted, all this. Oh, that's what was going on. That's what he was saying. And I remember buying also another fantastic series going on at the same time was Moonshadow by DeMatteis and Muth. But I remember buying both of them and going, oh no, it's going to take 12 months for this story to end, because those were the days. By the way, what John was saying before about doing all these action scenes and like Draw the Sioux Nation and all that, it reminded me of this Native American Jewish deli I wanted to start, and I thought appropriate name for it would be The Sioux and the Jew.
Hold on, let me get my wife in here.
Okay. Because she likes Jews? I don't know.
My wife is Jewish.
Oh, all right.
Richard says, I believe good art is a picture you look at the second time and you see something you missed the first time. The artwork draws you back. Well said, Richard. How about you, Francine? Do you have a specific comic moment that makes you go back and read it again?
Yes, I was reading Black Sack. It's a European comic with contenido something analysis. And it's kind of like a blog, like a noir story, like a detective story, but all the characters are also like animal characters. So it's like basically watching a Disney movie for adults in a comic with a great story. And I was like in the middle of the book, and I went back and started again because I wasn't understanding something that was critical. But it's a great story. It's like detectives looking for clues. There are drama. There are some killings that happen, and he has to solve what happened. And it's a great story. So I read it like 2 times the first time, and it's a book that from time to time I go back and read again.
Francine, you have a bad connection. There's a gap.
It
and
sounds
an echo.
horrible, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get out, and then come back again.
Okay, sounds good. Jamie, you've had some time. Do you have one?
Oh my gosh. The only thing that comes to mind as far as like something that I saw in a comic book that made me have to go back and look at it again and again and again. I go back to Dark Knight Returns, that whole sequence where Superman is fighting Batman and he's got the armor on, and I just couldn't believe what was going on, especially right around the time that Supes looks like he's killed Batman. He thinks he's done him in. And then that whole sequence just like it blew my mind at the time. I just had to keep rereading it. I couldn't believe what I was reading. I think I read it 3 times in a row before I actually progressed for the story.
Yep. And the fight in the mud pit. Oh, so good.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So good.
Yeah.
It's funny
So
when
good.
Joe said that Watchmen, every time he'd get an issue of Watchmen, you have to go back and reread the others. I had that same exact experience, you know. I'd pick it up and okay, now I got to go back and read that thing again, you know. And sometimes there was a gap between issues too; they weren't exactly monthly, so you know you'd kind of forget and then have to go back and catch up. Oh my God, I didn't catch that before, and I'm always excited about that. Another book like that, Joe will probably remember this. The rest of you are again too darn young, but Joe, do you remember the 1941 movie adaptation that Steve Bissette did?
I remember it, but I didn't read it.
That is so much better than the movie. It is laugh out loud, and every time you look at it, you find something else. That was just a mad scientist comic book. It made me want to see that movie, and then when I saw the movie, I was like, wow, that was disappointing. But it is truly one of the funniest comic books ever done. And if something like a book or even a TV show can make me laugh out loud, because I'm pretty jaded, I give it a good grade. I mean, that book is amazing. If you ever see it in a bargain bin, all of you pick it up. And the art is amazing. There's old magazine ads clipped out and put in the background. Like Call for Philip Morris with the little guy, you know, with the message pad, you know, Call for Philip Morris. And there's a guy putting a cigar out in his eye because of the twistedness of Steve Bissette, you know. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that, you know. In the background, you know, there's a war scene. In the background, there's Santa Claus on a billboard from an old Coke ad with the, you know, the beautiful Coke bottle smiling. It just says "Ho ho ho my ass." There's stuff like that through the whole book. Find it, read it, you will love it.
You know, when I would go to DC and pick up pages for the Justice League, when I was working with Giffen and DeMatteis, I would read them on the way home, and I would laugh out loud. Those books were very funny.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you've never read those, go pick those up. They're trade paperbacks. The Justice League by Giffen, DeMatteis, and McGuire.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Just real quick for me, two of them come to mind real quick. I always thought that there was one issue of X-Men when they were building up to reveal of Onslaught, and they revealed that it was actually Professor X. And I remember looking at that going, how the hell did that happen? Because of how they built it up. They spent like 5 years saying it was Gambit, but really it was Professor X. And then also for me, it was issue 4 of Kingdom Come, where they do the reveal that the whole time Lex Luthor had Billy Batson in his back pocket, and he drops in and does a series of Shazams on
Shazam. Yeah.
Superman, and Superman's like struggling every time getting nailed, and then he finally grabs him right by the mouth. And he's like, I could crush your skull right now, but now you have to make a choice because the world's falling apart. And it was always falling to Superman. But Superman says, I can't make this decision, but you can, because you're both. You're a god and a human. So you decide, do we all live or do we all die as the nuclear warheads coming in from above? So I thought that was pretty cool as well when I was reading it. Anyways, guys, great answers all around, but it's 4:00. So we're going to do a reset here, and then we're going to go through all your comments and questions and everything. It's rapid fire time, guys.
Uh-oh.
So let's pull up the featured art prints real quick. We're going to walk through them. Art prints. Hey, there we go. We're going to walk through them real quick, and then we're going to go through your questions. So our featured art prints today are Black Panther by Bob McLeod, who should be here at any moment for his 12 minutes.
12 minutes.
And then we've got Chad Harden's Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Nice.
We've got Francine Delgado's Ironheart. Oh my God! Stop the press!
Whoa.
Stop the press!
What's up,
He had
kid?
come straight from the side of a milk carton to
Holy
Oh my God.
I'm
is-
shocked if you are.
Oh my
Gee,
gosh, look who it is.
Steve Mulligan's in the house.
Literally in the house.
You
for one.
promised me he'd never be here. What's going on?
I'm not as cool as Joe. Here, let me just there. Does this look like it's the edge of an easel? There we go.
Yeah.
I do have brushes here though. So
I'm working.
Hey man,
What happened? Is Disneyland closed?
Disneyland is open, but I'm not paying $200 to go.
How you doing, sir? It's good to see you.
I'm good. How are you boys?
Good. We were just
What's up,
walking.
Jimmy?
We were walking. We just did an hour discussing on how do we approach a blank page, and that spun off into covers and that we bought just because it was pretty in that experience. So let's ask you real quick.
Yeah.
Mr. James C. Mulligan, when you approach a blank piece of paper, how do you go about it?
Well, I go at it knowing that I won't have a blank piece of paper in front of me unless I'm sitting at a restaurant. I usually don't pull out anything unless I know what I'm doing first.
That sounds dirty.
Yeah, I know. Unlike the old days where I would just kind of open up a pad and just start sketching, I unfortunately don't have the time nor inclination to do that much these days. So I kind of go at it knowing what I want to do first. I've got my research kind of pulled. I've got my reference material, and then I go from there. Kind of. Then at that point, I'll fake that I kind of know what I'm doing.
Very good. Very good. Have you ever bought a comic book, movie, or album just based on the art? And if so, what was it?
I remember.
Okay.
One of you guys might know the answer to this. Mark Vaz wrote a treatment of the Michael Keaton Batman movie that was a graphic novel.
Jerry Ordway.
Who did the art on that?
Jerry Ordway.
Yeah, Jerry Ordway.
It was spectacular. So I remember that when I was a kid, that graphic novel of the Batman movie, and it kind of led me into wanting to do comic books. And then it was too much lettering and too many panels. But I was blown away by that by that particular graphic novel. What were you gonna say, John?
When he was doing that, he was stopping at Mike Zeck's on the way to FedEx every night to turn in pages because he Xeroxed them at Zeck's house, the original pages. So I don't think I have many more, but I had a full set of black and white Xeroxes of the original art from that book.
Wow, that's
and
great.
It's amazing.
I wonder because that wasn't done digitally back then, right?
No, that was done, practically like us old timers did, and he was doing 2 pages of that a day.
Holy shit!
2.
And it was great. I mean, the art itself was brilliant. If you found a good copy of that original book somewhere, I imagine it would be extremely valuable. I'm sure I have a few pages of it somewhere torn apart from reading it as a teenager so many times.
And the cover was it was a cover painting too, and it was that beautiful. Mm-hmm. And he actually corrected some of the shortcomings from the book. I mean, Keaton doesn't look 3 feet tall in it. He looks like Keaton's head with a little more of a chin on a 6-foot body.
Yeah, no, he had a bit of a Dudley Do-Right thing going on. It worked. But yeah, so that's the answer to that, Steve. And of course, I'm a class turn of the set like Joe. I'm a and John, all you guys. I'm a turn of the century illustration nut. So I've got some stuff that I really love, and I still use. I still rip off those techniques as often as possible. Well, this is a Hulk in oil that I did not too long ago. That I certainly use some Leyendecker inspiration as far as brush strokes and stuff like that. So yeah, that's one of my attempted Leyendecker ripoffs.
Well, we're glad that you joined us, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Disney artist James C. Mulligan. His stuff is available at MBartist.com and also at jamescmulligan.com. And if you have any questions for him, feel free to drop it in because he is just in time for the lightning round where we go through all your questions and we're going to go through the featured art prints. That's where we were, James, as we were going. So let's get them back up here. We were at Francine Delgado's Ironhearted Gold.
Beautiful.
Jamie Coker, Nickelodeon Tunes.
Oh, that's great.
All right, James, give me the story on this one.
I wanted something super heroic of Benedict Cumberbatch, whatever his name is this week. That was a piece that I wanted to kind of classic portrait heroic. So hopefully I accomplished that. I love that aged wash look.
And guys, you need to follow James C. Mulligan on Instagram because whenever he does one of these, he always films it and puts it on Instagram. How often do you do one of these, James?
I need to do more, but I was doing them a couple times a week. But lately, I've been doing a lot more digital stuff. But I want to get back to doing the portrait style work with the sepia washes and so on.
Very cool. All right, let's move on to the next one. We've got Joe Rubenstein's Thanos #1. What's the story on this one, Mr. Rubenstein?
It's just a variation on Wolverine #1, since I'm most known, I guess, for Wolverine and now Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet. It's just echo of the theme, variation on the theme.
Very cool. All right, on to the next one. We got John Hebert's Spider-Man.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Mustafa, Captain Marvel.
Nice.
All right, we can skip that one. All right, so
Great.
I don't even remember that.
you don't remember Rescue Heroes?
No.
No, it's a toy line from Fisher Price. I got to work on.
I know Rescue Heroes.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I do know Rescue Heroes.
A little Fisher Price action from yours truly. So, guys, those are our featured art prints for today. 3 ways to get these art prints today. Number 1, put a comment or a question. You get a ticket into the draw at the end of the show. Number 2, you put a comment, claim whichever one you want, and the lovely Love G will take care of you. Or number 3, just go to MBartist.com and you can fill your cart, not your boots, even though it's the third rated fill your blank on Google. And you can check out with free shipping and you will get exactly that. So guys, those are what we've got. We're going to catch up on some questions, and how this is going to work is I'll throw it out, and we've got 15 minutes. So if anybody wants to jump in and answer it, please do. So let me go through here. Chris Collier says, any comment with a deal? Absolutely. And while I'm sifting through this, guys, if you've got any questions, please feel free to do so. Richard Walshin says, when you create new art, do you ever put up a kind of personal signature in it within the art, like a certain color or doodle? James, I know you do.
Me? Well, once in a while, I'll throw a hidden Mickey in there, right? But I use lots and lots of purple, typically. So that's my answer, unless, of course, I'm doing the portrait work. But
does anybody do anything interesting or different for a signature, John?
I throw my Camaro in whenever possible.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was Nick Fury's flying car at one point. It was the Viper's getaway car. It's been in the background.
It's like the art version of Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes. But it's my now classic Camaro. Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting one, because I learned this one the hard way. I changed my signature that I do on the art prints, because I used to just do my regular signature, and then someone said you shouldn't do that because if that's what you put on your checks, it might be an issue. Does anybody else change the signature between what's on the art and what you use personally?
Issue? Oh, yeah. I don't even know you. Jesus.
I don't know how you got on this call, Mr.
Rubenstein.
Thank you.
You got to get the stuff.
The stuff. Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Again,
No, nobody else variates.
I do.
Francine.
Every time that I can, I draw my beagles in a comic page or even in the movies. If you go to Adam's Family, you can find it a couple of times. Like in the backpack that the little kid wears, one of the patches is my dog. And then if you see like on the bike, the logo of the bike it is like a pie that for Spanish is called P. And then like another thing that is written in Spanish is Pillo. That is the name of my dog. So every time that I can, I put my dog like somewhere or his name or a national team in the movies or in the TV shows or even in the comics that I work on.
I just realized that Francine is MBartist version of Charo.
Version of what?
Charo?
That's a compliment.
Gucci, Gucci.
What is that?
Okay,
Go
Basil Factorin wants to know: did anybody ever lose any art and have to redo it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody got a story they want to throw out real quick?
Yeah, C2E2, 2-3 years ago, I did a commission of Venom for somebody, and I had it slightly sticking out the side of the curtain, the sheets that we put it to cover our table. Someone came by and swiped it.
Oh,
Man,
I had 8 pages stolen from my table, which I was still working on because I was silly enough to ask one of the MBartists, could you watch my table while I go to the bathroom?
don't worry, we got rid of that guy, Jeff.
I noticed.
James, I did see that you nodded your head. Do you have a story?
I mean, I've had stuff literally lost in the mail. When I sent it U.S. Postal Service. But I also I just had a piece not lost, but I had a very large painting that was sent via UPS. I think I shouldn't say that in case they decide to sponsor this program, right? But
I don't think that's going to happen.
It went from the gallery in Vegas to Chicago. And when it arrived in Chicago, I mean, it was pristine when I sent it, and somebody had dropped the box and smashed the entire corner of it. And it was wrapped up pretty good. It was still in bubble wrap, and it would have been much worse. But of course, they have to replace the frame. But yes, as far as actual art that's been lost, it's happened at Comic-Con. Usually, just my fault because I mixed it up or just couldn't find it or set it somewhere and I found it later. That happens to me a lot. I have to get more organized.
John.
FedEx did that to me when I was on my way out to LA. I had shipped stuff to myself at the hotel I was going to be in. And a day or so before I went, I got a call from FedEx saying, hey, we got a problem. Your package broke open on the floor in our hub, and some of it's damaged and some of it's missing. How do you know what's missing? And I said, get it to me in LA any way you can because I need it out there. Oh, it'll be there. Well, it never got there. Oh, no, there's no way. Somebody lied to you. And then when I finally did get it back, a bunch of it had footprints on it.
Oh.
The splash page from the wrestling book where Sting is getting stomped by the 4 Horsemen, which was actually one of the few nice pages in that. Footprints all over it.
Everyone's a critic. Jeez.
Hey, it's better than what Harris said about me,
Right.
so I'll take it.
You know, a package was sent to me through FedEx and it showed up way late. And I called them up and I said, why did this happen? And they told me why. And I called the shipper and went, that never happened. So I called them back. They lied to me 5 separate times about, well, the office was closed. Well, you know, they don't care.
No,
they're just trying to run out the clock.
Yep.
I had that same package, by the way, that was sent to Chicago that got screwed up. I kept telling them that so it's at my gallery there at Amazing at the Venetian, and they said that it was the wrong zip code. Well, in Vegas, there's like Paradise, Nevada, and there's Las Vegas, Nevada, depending on which side of the street you're on. But it's at the Venetian, and they said that the zip code was wrong, and they didn't know where the address was. And it's at the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas. Finally, I literally, because it was so late, I had to drive all the way to Vegas. This is just last week. Pick up this package that they never picked up, and literally take it to the UPS store to make sure it got shipped. That's how insane these people are, and how lazy they can be.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but we just found out we got into a couple fights over a couple of packages, and apparently they have a new policy that's being adopted across the board. That's FedEx, USPS, Canpar, everywhere, where they will no longer insure artwork or collectibles. So basically what they're saying is that they'll cover the cost of production. However, if there's an increased value because it's a collectible, it's shipper's risk. So, yeah, my brain did a backflip on that one the other day. So just everybody heads up, the rules of the road is getting more difficult as time marches on.
Wow.
That surprised me.
Mustafa, you didn't. Do you have a story of lost artwork?
Well, let's see. I remember somebody broke into my car and stole my backpack that had a commission I was working on. It was a little tiny commission. But yeah, I remember contacting the guy and I was like, well, and I didn't realize for like a month that it was in there. I just was like, oh, they stole my charge cable and they stole some gum, you know, that kind of thing, right? And then I was like, oh crap, that commission was in there. And so I contacted the guy and I was like, hey, yeah, I got it stolen. And he's like, well, if it's late, you know, that's okay. You can tell me. I was like, no, it got stolen. Really, it's the first time, but somebody actually like broke into my car and stole it. And they're like, oh, well, okay. And I was like, honestly, can I just do something else? Because I already like did half of that thing. I don't want to do that again. I want to do something else. And he was patient enough. But yeah, I just wanted to get it done because it was very upsetting.
Frank Scalix has a question. Hi, what was your first sold art?
What?
Mr. Mulligan, what was the first art you ever sold?
Well, if a mural counts, I did a mural job when I was 16. I made $350 to do a mural in an entire bathroom, and I thought it was the most money I'd ever seen. So that was awesome. I probably spent $80 in materials. So all out, I made a couple $100 for a week and a half worth of work, and I was thrilled. I was doing art and getting paid.
So what do you think the value is on that drywall now?
Thank God. Oh yeah, they had to repaint over it to sell the house.
John,
I got paid to do some wrestling sketches for people to hold up at the matches when I was in high school.
That's a good
Seriously. It was a Bob Backlund, I think, was the first one. And then I forgot about it. And 6 months later, a year later, I'm at the matches, and this girl's like, walks up to me, hey, John, thanks for this. And she got one of my drawings. I'm like, where'd that come from? Oh, you drew it for me. Okay.
Francine, first sold art.
Oh, first sold art, probably at high school. Like somebody buy one of my sketches or something like that.
All right, well, let's throw it out to the audience. If anybody can remember who bought Francine's high school sketches, please drop it in. Jamie.
Oh man, I was slinging art back in elementary school, drawing stuff. Yeah, I was. I went to school at one point, elementary school in Hawaii, and there was the Town and Country surf logo characters. And people would be like, I'll give you this if you draw this for me. And I'd draw them riding surfboards on waves and stuff like that. But man, I was slinging that art at a young age.
Hey, how about forged notes from parents? I did that from the time I was about 12. I'm serious. I worked my way through high school.
If that's true, John, I have some referrals in my house who would like you to forge some notes. Mustafa, first artwork.
Well, let's see. I told the story of how I made my own comic books when I was in 9th grade and sold them to classmates. Yeah, I made $27 that first day. I was like, I'm gonna be a millionaire doing this. And I sold like 4 after that. But yeah, I remember like around high school. Yeah, I would just draw stuff for fun, and then like my art school or art class friends were like, "Hey, can you draw this for me? Can you draw that for me?" And I was like, yeah, maybe. And they're like, well, I'll give you like an anime VHS or something. And I was like, oh, okay, that's like $20. Okay, that's worth it. I'll take that.
Joe, first sold artwork.
Does the pornography I drew in prison count?
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yes.
Okay.
Depends on what you got paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
you
got the
traded for a
picture.
VHS, so
I think
protect
I
me
was
too.
I think I was in high school and some actor wanted me to do some drawings of him to show like casting agents, and he looked at one of them and went, you know, it doesn't quite show what a nice guy. And I went, thank you, here's your art.
All right, guys, those are all the questions that we have. I want to thank the audience for sending their comments and questions. And now we're going to do the draw. And while we'll do that, let's pull out some art. Since we have James here, James, look, I've got here's the. So if you liked James' feature print, not only can you get the print, but I've got the original right here and available. And also, James also does commissions on Disney. George, James, tell us the story about how you got the letterhead for Disney stuff.
Those are all from the Walt Disney Archives. So they've got the whole team at Disney Archives. They put out they had available these letterheads. So Walt Disney at the studio, basically he would have his letters written up on these blank letterheads. Here, hold on, I'll show you. It's something pretty special.
All right, so while James gets that, we're gonna do our draw.
Yeah, I think so.
So these are blank. This is a blank. This is a blank one right here. The Jungle Book. So basically, there are these blank letterheads that were put out by the studio to advertise the upcoming picture. And so the letter would be written on here and then signed at the bottom. But I obtained a number of these blank letterheads that I've done art on, and I actually do commissions. I have a few of these left, and I've got Mary Poppins, I've got Jungle Book, I've even got some Nightmare Before Christmas pieces. So
what medium do you use on those?
I use mostly Copic and watercolor. It's just paper, so it's thick. It is cardstock, so it's nice. It's a nicer cardstock. So yeah, it works great.
So guys, if you have any ideas that you want to do in terms of commissions or original art, feel free to hit me up or any one of the artists here, because I can tell you for a fact we all have some time. So let's do our draw. I've got the winning ticket right here, and the Oscar goes to Luke Holbrook. You are the winner. Say I win, and let me know which featured print you want, and we're gonna pull them up so that you can select which one you want.
Congratulations.
We're waiting for Luke to say I'm here, and which one I want, or else we're gonna pull another name.
Is Luke watching?
Luke Holbrook. We're
Hope
looking
you're
for
watching, Luke.
Use the force, Luke.
Are you there, Luke? I am your father.
There he is. He's there. Which one you want, Luke?
I thought Star Wars was last week.
So, guys, it's 4:27. We got 3 minutes left. I want to thank everybody for coming out. But before we go,
except Bob McLeod.
Except Bob did not show up for his 12 minutes.
He owes us 12 minutes.
Next week, we got to do 24.
Will he do 24 or is only 12 and that's it?
So Luke picked Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange.
Hey,
George.
There you go. See what happens when you show up, James.
I know. I made exactly $0 on that now. Great.
Hey, anybody want show and tell?
All right, let's do show and tell. What do you
show and
got
tell.
on the table, John?
Finished it while we were talking.
Awesome.
And you talked about
Beautiful.
Rescue Heroes. Check this out. How many of you have your own action figure?
That is cool. I just drew a beard on Barbie.
Can I undress it?
You pay for it. You do whatever you want with it.
All right, let's go. We got one
That's
left.
the answer. That's the answer, John.
Mustafa, what do you got on your table? We're gonna do show and tell real quick, guys.
Okay, so they just announced the Red Sonja movie and who's going to be in it. So I got to do a cover, Red Sonja cover. It's a nice little tiger. It's all furry. That was a lot of fun.
Very cool.
Yeah, I got one more thing. Okay, you know that J. Scott Campbell challenge right now, where he's recreating a classic cover,
Where he's
you know what I'm talking
challenging
about?
people to get better anatomy. Yep.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so just finished this black cat here with Ali Garza, my buddy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Very cool. Very cool. Jamie, you got anything on your table?
Yeah. So I did a recreation of a sketch cover I did because the reaction to it was pretty good, and so I made Spider-Man, Deadpool, Venom, and Hello Kitty in a rock band.
How cool.
And Spider-Man's look is inspired by Axl Rose. Got Venom on the drums. Deadpool with some Ultimate Warrior like threads hanging from his arm, and of course Hello Kitty on guitar. With
Thrashing out with Hello Kitty. Follow that up, Joe. What do you got?
I've been doing a bunch of
Yeah.
backboard drawings.
Oh, very cool.
And
Yeah.
I did a painting the other day, which is a big hit on the internet, which is this thing.
Oh, it's just incredible.
I saw that on Facebook. That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
That is gorgeous, man. That is gorgeous. James, what you got?
I wanted to be where the people were. So there you go.
There you go. Little Mermaid.
Watercolor on French parchment.
Very cool. Francine, you got anything to show off?
Yeah, I have it on my screen, so I'm just sharing screen.
Okay, we're gonna share. All right, Eric, pull up the screen. This will be the last one, and then we will depart.
It's like mission control here.
Yeah, mission control. There we go. Oh, you did it. Wow.
Oh, look at
There
that.
you go. Yeah,
Wait.
Mustafa
Is
told
that
me.
you?
Yeah, I always do the pose. I need to feel the pose that I'm
I was
doing.
gonna say Steven looks nothing like that these days.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I have less
When
hair.
did you start on that, Francine?
Francine hit it. Aw.
I was doing it while we were talking, so yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That is cool. Well done. Well done. So
Thank you.
on behalf, guys, thank you all for coming out. It's been great. Whether you were on YouTube, Facebook, or the Collector's Toy Shop, we want to thank you for spending the last hour and a half with us. James, I hope you'll come back. I hope you had fun.
It was awesome.
I would love for you to come back and talk about NFS. We want to learn about that.
You mean NFTs? Well,
Yeah,
well,
that's true.
Not for sale?
See how much we need you to talk about that.
NFS stands for not for sale, and apparently it seems like NFTs are NFS right now. So
Tell us about the NSFWs.
yeah,
Or the NWA.
Joe
So
knows.
as you can tell, I have a lot to learn.
That's right. We'll do a tutorial.
Awesome. Okay, guys. Joe already flew the coop, so he said, "Screw you guys, I'm out." So on behalf of John Hebert, Mustafa Musa, Jamie Coker, James C. Mulligan, and Francine Delgado, good night, everybody, from the Great White North and all points in between. Have a great week. We'll see you on Friday, and then next Wednesday, come back for another MBartist Live Roundtable. Good night.
Remember,
Cheers,
like,
guys.
comment, subscribe.
Hey, gang, James, good to see you.